Talk Fast 5 is brought to you by the A&M Consumer and Retail Group. The A&M Consumer and Retail Group is a management consulting firm that tackles the most complex challenges and advances its clients, people, and communities toward their maximum potential. CRG brings the experience, tools, and operator-like pragmatism to help retailers and consumer products companies be on the right side of disruption. And Mirakl, the catalyst of commerce. Over 450 retailers are now opening new revenue streams with marketplaces, dropship, and retail media, and succeeding. With Mirakl, you can unlock more products, more partners, and more profits without the heavy lifting. What's holding you back? Visit Mirakl.com to learn more. That's Mirakl.com. And Simbe. Simbe powers the most retail banners in the world with today's only multimodal platform for in-store intelligence. See how Albertsons, BJ's, Spartan Nash, and Wakefern win with AI and automation at SimbeRobotics.com. And Infios. At Infios, they unite warehousing, transportation, and order management into a seamless, adaptable network. Infios helps you stay ahead from promise to delivery and every step in between. To learn more, visit Infios.com. And ClearDemand. Pricing shouldn't be guesswork. ClearDemand's AI-powered pricing, data, and optimization solutions help retailers stay competitive while protecting margins. Smarter pricing, stronger profits. ClearDemand makes it happen. Learn more at cleardemand.com/OmniTalk. And finally, Ocampo Capital. Ocampo Capital is a venture capital firm founded by retail executives with the aim of helping early-stage consumer businesses succeed through investment and operational support. Learn more at ocampocapital.com. Hello, you're listening to OmniTalk's Retail Fast 5, ranked in the top 10% of all podcasts globally, and currently the only retail podcast ranked in the top 100 of all business podcasts on Apple Podcasts. The Retail Fast 5 is the podcast that we hope makes you feel a little smarter, but most importantly, a little happier each week too. And the Fast 5 is just one of the many great podcasts you can find from the OmniTalk Retail Podcast Network, alongside our Retail Daily Minute, which brings you a curated selection of the most important retail headlines every morning, and our Retail Technology Spotlight series, which goes deep each week on the latest retail technology trends. It's June 4th, 2025. I'm one of your hosts, Ann Mazinga.
And I'm Chris Walton.
And we are here once again to discuss all the top headlines from the past week, making waves in the world of omnichannel retailing. And Chris, we are coming to you live from Barcelona for Shoptalk Europe. What's been your best moment? What best thing that you've learned or done so far in your time here in España?
Oh man, there's been a couple standout moments for me, Ann, and honestly, both of them have very little to do with retail. One of them has to do with our podcast, but the first one is the better one, which is we were at dinner the other night, and we were listening to a Swedish person regale us about how moose, particularly moose, are dangerous to drivers in Sweden, and not for the reasons you'd expect. I guess when you hit a moose in Sweden, what can happen is the moose can go on the top of your car,
yes,
and that it contains so much blood that people actually drown and die from the blood seeping into the vehicle.
Yes.
So this is a real thing that happens in Sweden that you and I were unaware of, and it's become the running joke of the show amongst all of us and our friends at Shoptalk. So
drive through any animal if you're driving, except for a moose. You stop for the moose because you can drown in moose blood. The more you know, OmniTalk retail fans, the more you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moose blood. Yeah.
Okay. What was the other thing?
The other one was I was talking to Rachel. I was at a table yesterday getting ready for doing some work, and I was sitting at a table with people getting ready to go on stage, and I was sitting next to Rachel Tipograph of Micmac, and I was just talking to her, and there's a woman next to me, but she couldn't see my badge. My badge was like under the table. She couldn't see who I was. And she's like, "Wait, do you do a podcast?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do." And she's like, "I recognize your voice." And I was like, "Wow. That's so great. I've never heard that before." You know, usually we get like in the elevator, we'll be like, "Hey, why do I know you? Like, have I seen you on social media?" That kind of thing. But I've never gotten, "I recognize your voice." I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think you make it whatever you want, Chris.
Yeah. She called out. She's like, "Did you guys do the podcast on EV charging at convenience stores?" I was like, "Yes, we did. You know, we talk about all kinds of stuff." And she's like, "Yeah, I listen to you guys regularly. I love the shorts." She loves how we clip it out too. So our Fast Five shorts, for those that, you know, don't want to listen to the whole episode. You can just take what you want because she said, sometimes there's topics that I'm not interested in, and the shorts just let me get right to the point. So yeah, so I thought that was cool, man.
That is so cool, Chris. So did you get her name? Like, do you know who this
Yeah,
fan
yeah, for
is?
sure. Yeah, no, yeah, I meant to shout out her
Yes,
name in the beginning.
yes,
It's
yes.
Jillian from Deloitte. Yeah, Jillian from Deloitte. So shout out to Jillian. Hope she's listening. She's probably not, 'cause she's probably just listening to the shorts. We don't do the intro in the shorts, but who knows? But so shout out to Jillian. So yeah, it's been a fun week so far. It's been a good conference, and we got a lot of interesting headlines. So should we get to it?
Let's do it.
All right, in this week's Fast Five, we've got news on e.l.f.'s acquisition of Hailey Bieber's beauty brand for $1 billion. That's billion with a B.
Billion dollar
Victoria's
Bieber?
$1 billion Bieber. Ooh, I like what you did there.
I know.
That was cool. All right, Victoria's Secret's website shut down last week. Aldi's new digital work experience program for teens in the UK, David Bridal's new store concept, Diamonds and Pearls, and Infios' Eugene Amigud stops by for 5 insightful minutes to discuss how AI will impact order management systems in the future, a topic that is near and dear to the retail geek in me. All right, but we begin today with news on a trend we are hearing more and more about every week, food as medicine. And
Chris, headline number one is exactly that. Walmart has introduced a virtual badge to help Medicare Advantage members identify items they can buy with their OTC benefits. According to Retail Dive, people can add their benefit cards to their virtual Walmart wallets to access a digital experience that includes a product badge and search filter to identify items that are eligible for those benefits. When shopping in stores, the badge will appear when people scan eligible items barcodes with the Walmart app. The retailer's, quote, benefits program eligible, end quote, badge appears on a wide variety of over-the-counter food and wellness products such as meal replacement shakes, ground coffee, vitamins, and cold and flu medication. Customers can also access a tracker that lets them monitor their unused benefits. Walmart said the Everyday Health Signals platform can enhance the well-being of Medicare Advantage customers by providing information that can help them make healthier choices. By analyzing their Walmart purchases, the AI-powered tool can provide the customer with the nutrition analysis and shopping list. Chris, this is also the A&M put you on the spot right away here, bright and early in Barcelona. A&M wants to know.
on 3 hours of sleep in Barcelona. Yes, let's start off hot.
Yes. A&M says, we recognize and applaud Walmart's efforts to help Medicare members reduce the billions of dollars of their annually forfeited over-the-counter benefits. Given this is a digital-only virtual wallet and barcode scanning discovery process, is the overlap big enough yet between Medicare members and digital savviness to meaningfully succeed in this effort? What a beautifully worded question. And now I'll let you take the stage and provide an answer.
Yeah, thank you, Ann. Thank you. That's so kind of you. So yeah, I mean, my answer to that question is yes. Yes, it does. I think it will be meaningful. And the reason I say that from Walmart's perspective, because the bar is incredibly low.
Yeah.
All you're talking about here is software. You're deploying software. So any usage you get on this is gravy.
Yeah.
And the cost of trying to do this, I imagine, is not prohibitively expensive. And the upside, if you get people to use it, is incredibly high. And digital wallets, while still new for some, are gaining more and more traction each and every day. So that's why I laud this move, because it's a trend we talked about. I said at the outset, food is medicine, that we're only going to hear more about, because the number one answer to everything in the world is money. And there's a lot of money to be claimed for programs like these that is just going unused, quite frankly. So, and I've been talking to a lot of companies recently. It's funny, this headline came up because I've been spending a lot of time with a company called Sifter. I probably spent 4 hours with them in the last month, just talking about this topic. And they're a company that helps retailers identify items based on their nutritional ingredients and everything. And so we were talking about like this similar use case for GLP-1. Like, how do you help customers identify GLP-1 friendly items very quickly? And there's a merchandising use case in that. So the last part I'd say is, I just love this too, because it 100% aligns with Walmart's brand promise of save money, live better. And that's what the world needs right now. And so I just can't do anything but applaud this. I think it's a great move, and they're just going to learn from doing it too. That's the other thing. So like, there's no risk here.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's really smart. I think you hit on it right at the beginning when you said like it's all there's only benefit that comes from this. Sure, they might not see the adoption early on that they were hoping, but it puts them in a really good position to be prepared for even the next generation, which may be in a year or two, even where people are starting to use an app-based platform to do shopping, especially as search behaviors are changing. I think yes, they may not start to adopt some of the apps right away, but if Walmart's thinking about this now, it's not only valuable like to them, I think, in an app, but it also helps their ecosystem prepare for searches like the ones you're talking about, where people are saying, are there products that qualify for Medicare Advantage? And can you build me a
Right.
shopping list and a meal planning tool for the week that includes those products? Like that's a
Right.
very real search term that anyone
Right.
could be searching on Walmart right now. And so I think it's the natural progression is yes, now you go to the Walmart app to fulfill that shopping journey. And
Right.
finally, I think this is also something I imagine that they could start to put on the digital shelf labels that they're going to be rolling out soon too. Like there's a place there where potentially they could be putting some of this information. I know they've already started to do this with promos or even SNAP
Mhm.
and EBT eligible items. So I think there's a state where this could go. And so the key point here is they're preparing about it, they're thinking about it right now, and retailers around the globe should really be paying attention to thinking about their own investments here in this type of data about the products. It's now no longer just about ingredients anymore. It's about the other queries that will be coming up or how people are going to be searching for the products.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's a great point. It comes back to item data and getting your item data
Hmm.
cataloged, in similar ways like this. Because you're right. Yeah, I mean, ChatGPT's usage rates are through the roof, and people are going to start doing searches like that, whether it's on Walmart or through the generative AI interfaces. The other point I'd make in closing too, Ann, we've talked a lot on the show about, like investments in in-store clinics and things like that. I think this is a much simpler way to go about it and to make a palpably meaningful difference in
Mm,
people's lives, relatively
yeah.
speaking, too. So I think, it's smart. I think we're going to see more people jumping on this bandwagon.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I hadn't even thought about that, but you're absolutely right. Like it's a way that they can gets back to your live better part of their promise.
Yeah, you don't have to spend any money on physical infrastructure to
Right.
make this happen,
Right.
as well, which is, a very, very enticing way to think about, how do you capture the money from, that's going around in the healthcare and the food as medicine trend. All right, headline number two, e.l.f. Beauty last week. I can't wait to get your thoughts on this. Agreed to buy Hailey Bieber's Rhode, which I had to ask Anne how you actually say that because it's Rhode, whose trademark look is its glossy, dewy skin, aka glazed donut. Also something I had to ask Ann about that I learned from you yesterday. And they acquired it for $1 billion again. According to Bloomberg, in Rhode, e.l.f. is betting on a premium range containing just 10 main or hero products, including pocket blush and glazing milk, which blur the boundaries between skincare and makeup. This looks like a good fit with e.l.f.'s selection, which is more focused on cosmetics and is cheaper. For example, e.l.f.'s average price point is about $6.50, Ann. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
Compared with almost $9.50 for mass market cosmetics brand. Whereas Rhode's average is about $29, so a significant increase. But e.l.f. is also paying a pretty polished price for Rhode,
Ooh.
also known for its sleek, minimal package. I can't take credit for that. I got to give credit to Bloomberg for that one. The $800 million in cash and stock payable at the close of the deal, expected before September, equates to a 3.8 times Rhode's sales of 212 million in the year that went and concluded on March 31st of 2025. And if you include the additional $200 million payable based on Rhode's performance over the next 3 years, the multiple is actually 4.7 times. So, Aaron, my question for you is this. Do you think e.l.f. will see the long-term payoff it hopes from acquiring Rhode?
I think that it's hard to say whether or not that will be, no one has the crystal ball. However,
You're hedging.
I think this is a really good move. No, I'm not hedging. I think this is a really good move from Elf.
I'm gonna start bringing prune shears to the podcast every time you hedge.
Well, I mean, I think I'm just making a reasonable analysis of this, considering both
Sounds
sides of
like,
the story. I
yeah, it
certainly
sounds like you're leaning one way though, so I'm curious to hear what
I
it is.
am,
So let's,
yeah. I mean, I'm certainly not hating this as much as the Bloomberg reporter who wrote this article is, but
oh, you think they hated it? You think the Bloomberg
I
reporter
think it
hated
would. I
it?
think that they were not positive on this,
Hmm.
and I certainly
It
can
is a big
understand
price
the
increase. I
reasons
didn't
why.
realize that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money going into a category that hasn't seen a lot of growth. I mean, you have other beauty, like we'll say influencer, celebrity-led beauty companies that aren't doing as well. Cody had to sell Kylie Cosmetics because it wasn't, or sorry, not Kylie, Kim Kardashian's makeup line and fragrance line because it wasn't doing as well. Like this has not been the time for celebrity-inspired brands. However, I think that Rhode is different here. If you look at Hailey Bieber's involvement, true involvement, we had this discussion yesterday in the creation of each of the products. She's been very specific to only be releasing a small number of products. I mean, I think that this stands a better chance than some of the others would, and it's the reason why e.l.f. is buying Rhode over, Selena Gomez's Rare Beauty or Makeup by Mario or another one. I know you know all the names that I'm talking about right now, Chris, but
I actually do know those. In
okay,
fairness to me, I
good.
actually do know
Good,
those. Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I
Hey,
just didn't
this
know road.
well, but I think that the benefit here is really going to be on e.l.f.'s side, however. I think they're going to learn a lot from this premium line, bringing them in. As you mentioned, like e.l.f. started out as a high-end, approachable, like high-end beauty quality product, low price point. Like they started their products, I think it was at like $1, $3, and $5 when they came out
Yeah.
20 years ago. So I think that the opportunity here for e.l.f. is really to start to attract and learn from Rhode and how they might be able to start to get into the premiumization of their products because it's going to cost them more to produce them. They talked last week at the same time they made this deal about how tariffs are going to increase the prices of their products by $1 per product. I think it
Right.
allows them to start to eke into that upper echelon category, and maybe they have Hailey like inspire a collection, or they have Hailey partner with them on like a mid-level collection that I think is a really important category and a really important audience to try to get after right now. So people who maybe can spend a little bit more than the e.l.f. price point, but aren't ready to pay $28 for the glazed donut look, Chris. So I
Hmm.
love it. I'm very happy
Hmm.
with this move. But
No, so now you love it. Okay, good to know. Good to
yeah,
know. Uh, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea, and I will willingly admit to the audience that I know literally nothing about the CPG beauty space. So, I'm not gonna have much to say here, but I think, listening to you talk, there are a lot of things that have to be true for this to
yes.
work out. And every time I hear that, I get a little concerned, especially when the price point is that different from what, the acquiring brand typically is known for and successful for. So
Hmm.
it's a different muscle that e.l.f.'s going to have to use to make this successful. So
Absolutely.
I think net actually hearing you talk, I'm actually a little bit more skeptical of
Hmm.
this working out. Um, to say nothing of the fact I have no idea how, Hailey Bieber's social influence is going to continue to, move forward over the next decade. But which is a real factor too. You have to factor that into the probability of success.
Right.
But my last shout out to Hailey, fellow stroke survivor, for getting her B. And she got her B. Like
Hmm.
she got her two B's actually. To your point, she got the Bieber and the billion. So
Yes. I think the
so
billions are the ones that I'd hang on to more closely than the Bieber last name. But
yeah, yeah, it sounds like there's been some friction on that side of things
yeah.
too.
I
Yeah, he
mean,
had to apologize. Yes, yeah, I know about this stuff.
oh
Yeah.
my God, I do think that like you have to give Hailey credit though. Like Glossier couldn't do this, and they were this also a direct-to-consumer skincare brand, not founded on a celebrity. Like there's some opportunity here, and so if anyone can make this work, I think Hailey's the right person to bet on. But you're totally right. There's a lot of other external factors that could impact the success of this down the road.
Yeah, but in fairness to Glossier probably had offers and probably either didn't take them or has chosen not to take them too. Because typically with these like celebrity inspired brands, they're built to do exactly this. They're built to get acquired at a high
Hmm.
multiple very
Yeah.
quickly because generally speaking, they're run by legal teams out of LA. I don't know that that's the case here, but I imagine somebody is telling Hailey where to go and what to do and what products to evaluate, at a certain time. So you know
Yeah.
how this works from
Let's just say I bet Emily Weiss is not super thrilled right now that this just happened. And of all the work she's been doing for the last, what, 10 years, she didn't quite net
Yeah,
that B.
I bet she's wishing. Yeah, I mean, I have no idea, but I bet she's wishing she sold out a long time. Potentially wishing she sold out a long time ago. But then that's not true to her ethos of her brand either. So who knows? But
Who knows? All right, let's go to headline number three, Chris. Another topic that you'll be very familiar with. We're talking Victoria's Secret. Um, no, you actually have done a lot of work on this headline right now, so I'm excited to hear your perspective. But headline number three is Victoria's Secret shut down its website in response to a security incident last week. According to CNET on Wednesday, the clothing and lingerie company replaced its regular US retail site with a note to customers saying that it was aware of and dealing with the incident, adding that its website and some services were temporarily shut down as a quote, a precaution, end quote. It did not offer details about what kind of security incident occurred, but said that its brick and mortar Victoria's Secret and Pink stores remained open. Chris, should Victoria's Secret site outage last week be a wake-up call for American retailers?
oh my God, 100% yes, Ann. I mean, we
Yeah.
asked Michael Prendergast this 2 weeks ago when we had A&M on the podcast, and he anecdotally said from his experience as the interim CEO at Joann's that he would put the estimate at 20% of the U.S. retailers that are actually prepared for cyber crimes to deal with them as they come. And for like about the last month, I've been asking a lot of people about this, both at this conference, at Zoom calls. I've talked with companies like Botify, and I was talking to Rochelle Thielen, the CEO of Traject Data at Shoptalk Europe. And what I've been learning is that we are only going to see more of these incidences,
Yes.
which makes me feel good about our show because we've been talking about this. And then, I mean, I don't feel good for Victoria's Secret, but I feel good for our show because we talked about this before it happened, and then it happened. And we're going to see more of it because of the rise of AI. Because the way with AI proliferating in the space, in the retail space, the way it is, particularly with agentic AI coming into the fold now,
Yeah.
retailers and brands' websites are going to see more and more bots scraping their sites each and every day, which means when you think about it from an operations standpoint, it's going to become more and more difficult for the retailers to understand who are the good bots and who are the bad bots, but yet the overall traffic of bots to the site is going to increase exponentially. So, not surprisingly, when that happens, more of the sophisticated threats are going to get through because the security systems are having to watch more things.
Yeah.
So, the cyber criminals are smart and they know how to capitalize on recent trends better and faster than anyone. And so, the retailers are going to it's going to be difficult for them to stop them. So, I think retailers listening, if you're in this space, you probably already know this, but if you're an executive who's deciding budgets and you're a CFO trying to figure out, how much do we earmark towards what, I would probably be leaning into this a little bit more, at least conversationally in the boardrooms.
Yeah, I think that was an awesome overview, Chris. And I think the last thing that I would just say, which we talked about with Michael Prendergast when we were talking about the teams from Co-op and Harrods and others that have been hit in the UK recently with cyber attacks. The loss to customers is so high. Like when
Oh
you
yeah.
think about like even the reviews in and some of the commentary that they got for this Victoria's Secret reporting, like they're bad. They're bad. They're people
Yeah.
who once you lose those customers, you're already doing so much to get them in the door, to maintain them as a customer, especially for a legacy brand like Victoria's Secret or like Joanne that Michael was talking about last week. The cost to acquire those customers again, I have to imagine far out it exceeds the cost to just get your cybersecurity house in order. So I think that's the thing here that it's not just the cost of the loss of data or of time or of resources put towards getting the site back up online. It's really the cost and the impact that this has on your customer base too that I think people need to be putting into that consideration set.
It puts in the mind of your customer, do I want to switch?
Right.
and that's never something you want to have happen, especially after a purchase, like is happening in this Victoria's Secret example too. And let's bring Eugene onto the show now to talk about the rise of AI and agentic AI, particularly in terms of how it relates to order management systems. Joining us now for 5 insightful minutes is Eugene Amigud, the Chief Innovation Officer at Infios. Eugene is here to help us separate fact from fiction when it comes to harnessing AI for your supply chain. Okay, Eugene, let's start with this. AI is freaking everywhere, but as the Chief Innovation Officer, how do you think about deploying it across the supply chain? I mean, like, I get bombarded every day with everything from predictive algorithms to agentic AI. How should our audience think about separating true innovation from hype in this era?
We think about purposeful innovation to start with, right? Again, there's a lot of AI hype. And the way kind of to break through that is I think of different use cases and the right technology, right approach for these use cases. When we think about AI, there's machine learning and predictive analytics. There are optimizers, as well as the latest and greatest Gen AI. And depending on the use case, there's a right kind of tool to address it. So first of all is partner with customers to co-develop on specific use cases, on specific needs, instead of kind of thinking it within the black box. And number two, many of us, right, already have existing systems deployed, and the innovation has to be augmentative, meaning that I may create a new module, new component that solves my specific need, drop it in, realize the benefit in maybe a couple weeks to a couple months, and move on. I have no more time to deploy these capabilities over long period of time. So again, make it with purpose, use case based, as well as making it augmentative.
Eugene, the retail industry is in a constant state of disruption right now. And it seems like staying ahead is more than just reacting to market uncertainty. It means designing your business operation for adaptability. How would you say that Infios thinks about innovation, not only to navigate this change, but really to predict what's ahead?
Yeah, with so much supply chain uncertainty and constant changes, right? The deterministic rules and ability to configure the systems becomes almost impossible, right? Again, during COVID, there was a lot of disruption, but over time, people thought, well, maybe it will stabilize. And now we all understand, right, that this uncertainty does not go away. If anything, it becomes more and more complex, right? And so how do you react to this uncertainty? So historically, you would kind of set up all these different rules, configurations in your systems, or deploy the entire system to address it. But now it has to be a lot more dynamic. It has to be a lot more aligned with the business needs versus the systems, right? So again, if I have a labor strike in my port, how do I comprehensively address it? If I have a strategy to get close to my customers, how do I comprehensively address it? And how do I react to these uncertainties? And that's where AI and ML come in, where it can look at historical data, right? And being able to react based on that historical data and make some predictions on it. However, historically, the planning systems used to look at years and years worth of data. Right. But what we're seeing now from planning perspective, right? Look at tariffs that change pretty much daily, or the labor strikes, etc. Right? You have to react so much faster. So now the scope becomes so much more important to kind of look at the near real-time data and to be able to react accordingly.
The one thing you guys always talked about to me was like this idea of a quote unquote brain or a decision engine. Given what you're describing, is that concept still in play here, or how should we think about that?
Yeah, realigning the system capabilities to be closer to the kind of functional solutions that business needs is absolutely key. And the decisioning engine sits at the core of it. Historically, these decisioning engines used to be within transportation or within order, right? What's the most effective way to fulfill an order? What's the most cost-effective way to ship a load across the country? Now, all of those need to be tied together to be able to react to those disruptions. And the decisioning engine sits kind of outside and makes all this kind of both deterministic as well as AI-based decisions, looking at all this holistically, which is not really possible in the old world when those decision engines used to be isolated.
Got it. So if I say that back to you, then you're saying that there's basically there's like going to the decision engine still matters, but there's almost a module in and of itself that is going to command and control everything else that's going on. Is that right?
Exactly. So this module is the key, Chris, as you mentioned, because if it's an independent module, you can deploy it fast, you can realize the benefits. The intelligence of each individual system you rely on less, but now this kind of consolidated decisioning engine can come up with the most comprehensive and kind of cost-effective or whatever, because you're optimizing on solutions that you would need.
What's a breakthrough that you see happening on the horizon? Something that you believe is going to fundamentally redefine commerce in the next 3 to 5 years?
Again, there are two parts, and I think they're both aligned. So business is moving from, again, this systematic approach of buying individual systems like OMS or front end or a payment, etc., to kind of solving business needs. And on the other side, from technology, is, again, as I was mentioning, from this microservice to modules to Agentic. And what gets me excited the most, because I'm in the supply chain execution side, this whole Gen AI started as a natural language kind of processing, LLMs, models, etc. So it was really good, and I would always say it was really good for planning systems because planners interact in that way. From execution, the less human intervention there is, the better your system works. So historically, these LLMs and Gen AI was not built for supply chain execution. So I think the most innovation will come from that space. And now with the new technology around Agentic, around this kind of autonomous agents, being able to orchestrate in the real time, right? Not spinning now, ChatGPT and you're asking a question, right? If I'm scanning shipments, I'm scanning them, within milliseconds. If I'm processing orders, I'm processing them within single-digit milliseconds. And so that kind of ability to meet the business needs with this new tech, it's probably what's going to evolve over time in a very exciting and new ways.
Essentially saying protect the brain. Thank you,
Yes.
Eugene. That was great.
Exactly.
Thanks, Eugene.
Headline number 4, Aldi is running digital work experience courses for teens. According to Internet Retailing, Aldi has launched a free virtual work experience program for anyone over the age of 13 to help them discover retail careers. The online course, developed with SpringPod, is designed to offer insights into various retail roles, from warehouse and store operations to office positions. Participants will engage with videos and guidance from Aldi employees, as well as interactive quizzes and activities. Upon finishing the program, they will receive a certificate to strengthen their CVs. You can tell where this headline originated, or resumes, for future applications. Since launching, Aldi says that it has already attracted more than 2,000 signups and hopes to inspire even more young people to explore careers in retail. And are you buying or selling Aldi's new virtual work experience course for teens?
I'm buying the idea. I think it's great.
I knew you would.
I
I knew
think
you
they're
would.
going to have to figure out how they get traffic. Like that's my biggest concern here is, are they going to see the payoff for the investment? I went into the tool yesterday and I recommend checking this out. I mean, it's really impressive. Like went through a couple of the sessions. They help you set up a LinkedIn page. They do like interview prep and practice. Like it's a great thing. I'm making my 14-year-old sign up for this because I think it's a great tool. Now, will this result in Aldi getting an influx of new talent? I don't know. I think that's still to be determined. But I do think, having a son who's going through this process right now of trying to get his first job, like this is a way to start to get them engaged and involved with your brand early on and leave a good taste in their mouth. I think no matter where they end up going, like he could put this on a resume for a local grocery retailer or something when he's going in. And there's really nowhere else to do that when you're early on in your job search. And I think the other component of this that we're hearing loud and clear here at Shoptalk Europe is the investment in the people that are working in your stores, getting training as early as possible, continuing to train people as much as possible to do a multitude of skills, not just training them on task-specific jobs, but really preparing them for a career in retail. Because I think that that's a hard thing for a lot of retailers to find is good service right now. So I think that this is Aldi making a strong investment here. Whether or not it pays off, still to be determined. But I'm curious if you are buying or selling this, Chris?
You can probably tell what I'm thinking based on how I responded to your initial take. Well, so as an actual recruitment tool, I'm selling this. But as a feel-good branding story, which I think you just pretty much outlined the case for that, I'm buying that. Like I think
Yeah.
it's a great branding story for Aldi. Um, but the reason I'm selling it as a recruitment tool
Yeah,
is
yeah.
I just don't think it's grounded in the reality of how this actually works. And the reason I say that is I spoke to Natalia Wallenberg, the Chief Human Resources Officer at Ahold Delhaize, on stage here at this conference on Monday at Shoptalk Europe. And she talked about very extensively how they've built the process by which they can reject or accept an application to work in their grocery stores in 8 minutes. So
Hmm.
that tells you the amount of traffic that's coming through and how quickly they need to sort through it and how often they're having to replace the labor in the grocery industry.
Right.
So you have to move really fast to actually get the benefit out of this, which is kind of antithetical to like sitting down, taking a training course, all that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
how much evaluation is really going into it, at the grocery store entry level. So I think programs like this sound good, but they don't really move the needle to me in actually getting people into the door and through the vetting process, which is really what you need. At the end of the day. So
Sure.
I don't know. I'm skeptical of this one. I
Could
think
you see a
much like
world
Kevin Powers.
where, could you see a world where, like before the first interview, like, yes, you have the 8-minute process of acceptance for an interview or rejection. Could you see a world where they're using something like this pre in-person interview? Like you made it into the next round. This is like a qualifier or some component of this is a qualifier for making it to an in-person interview? Or no, you don't think it's worth it. You can tell right away.
Yeah, I I don't know. Having worked in the stores, I just find it hard to believe that the average person applying for an entry level job is going to take the time to do that. Number one, you
Hmm.
could
That's
mandate
true.
it, I guess, as part of your application process, which would be good. But I worry then that you're shutting down the funnel too much as well, versus just getting them in and doing the on the job training based on the typical criteria you screen for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's going through my head right now to answer your question, man.
I guess I'm just curious, like, yes, yes, they've got the process down to 8 minutes at a hold, but would it be a more worthwhile investment to spend more time in some of those entry level jobs to invest more so that there's less turnover, so that
Well,
you're
they're
only doing this one, less
Yeah,
frequently?
and I use the Ahold example just to illustrate the speed at which
Sure,
things are happening. But yes, 100%. Ahold spent a lot of time on stage talking about the additional on-the-job training they're trying to
sure,
give people too, and the tools and resources that they want to give them to help them do the job, so that they're getting people in quickly. Because it's about hiring, training, and retention. Those three things,
yeah,
and so you have to have all of that. And this one kind of falls in the netherworld of that when you think about the
sure,
actual employee, because it's more about giving education and certification to someone that could eventually work for you. And it even leans more towards like the office side of it, like a career in retail.
Mm,
So like that's where it's just this one feels a little dissonant to me in terms of how it fits into the whole pie. But I could be wrong. I think net though, it's still a great branding story.
yeah, I agree. Well, we'll have to see. I'll make my 14-year-old go through this process in full and then I'll report back. All right, let's go to the last headline, Chris. David's Bridal has unveiled a new store concept it is calling Diamonds and Pearls, one of maybe the greatest Prince songs ever, and hopefully they are giving him his just dues for taking that name. According to Retail Dive, the store features a curated selection of bridal fashion and accessories, personal styling, Shopify point of sale integration for in-store and online shoppers, champagne service, alterations, and luxury trunk shows. The store also carries exclusives not available at other David's Bridal locations. Beyond launching a new store concept, the retailer has also expanded its product assortment. David's Bridal recently teamed up with Perry Ellis and Cuba Vera to debut its first menswear collection. The retailer released suits in April and is rolling out Cuba Vera items over the summer. Chris, do you think
Yeah.
that David's Bridal store new store concept, Diamonds and Pearls, will catch on?
Oh man, I feel like I'm a downer on this podcast. I don't feel like there's anything I guess I started out really
You started out with Walmart.
yeah, I
Yeah.
lauded Walmart, yeah, which is typical. So yeah, but I'm skeptical of this one too, Ann. I think I mean, for a number of reasons, like endless aisle as a differentiator, especially in a physical store concept, doesn't mean that much to me because you know who already has an endless aisle, Ann? The online sphere. Like, okay, fine. I can go into a store and I can look things up online. Like, that just doesn't resonate with me. And we've talked
Yeah.
over and over again in the 8-year history of our show about how that's kind of fool's gold. So that's number one. The second point I make is promoting the Shopify integration. Who cares? Like, that sounds like something to me that,
That was a
you throw in to sound techie, right? But
stretch.
it's really a tell that you aren't that techie, in my opinion. Like, and Shopify has its limitations as a POS platform, from my understanding too. So no, I think for me, this is going to be a tough get. Had they actually brought the menswear concept into a combined concept, I think that's a better way to go
Mm,
because I would be interested in that. Like,
yeah.
incremental hook there. Like dudes, when they have to get their tuxes for the wedding, they don't care where they go. So why are you letting that business go somewhere else? Bring it together, make the unit more productive. It's kind of the old like consulting case in business school of like, how do you get the fast food restaurant to do breakfast, lunch, and dinner more continuously? How do you use the unused times of the day to be more productive? So like that I think could work.
Hmm.
But as a plan to like stave off what's already happening endemically to David's Bridal, I just think this is another concept that's probably not going to work in the long run.
Really? Well,
Mhm.
one, you don't want the guys in the same bridal shop. Like, that's not a good idea. You're not supposed to
Yeah, that's
see
a
the
good
bride
point. Yeah.
before. But I don't think that there's anything stopping you. I do think that you're on the right track of this idea could live on its own as a male concept. For me, I think this is a brilliant idea, Chris. I actually
Hmm.
love the idea of bringing service. You think about the things that they're talking about here. Champagne, these little touches. They're doing trunk shows. They're really focusing here on service and creating a luxury experience that you have not gotten before at a David's Bridal. You're now giving this high touch, high service experience at a lower price point product. And I love this. I think it's something that we all need to be paying more close attention to. Again, something that we're hearing a lot about at Shoptalk Europe is this emphasis on service that isn't just at the luxury level. That you like if you, we started seeing more retailers like this, like a David's Bridal, really lean in on experience. It's the one thing that I think can differentiate them right now because no one else is doing this. That it's like you go into a Macy's bridal, you go into any other category, like you don't get the level of service anymore. It's all about transaction and having the least amount of people on the floor. And I think this is one of these experiences where if I was at David's Bridal right now, I would 100% be testing a concept like this. And for the men too, like making this an experience where you all go pick out your tuxes. There's a whiskey bar, there's other things. Like that's what you get at the high end experience. And I think that if they could pull this off and really invest in service and this high touch, I think that they could be doing a banger business right now, and really start to stand apart from their competitors because who doesn't want great service and an affordably priced product? I think we're going to start to see people coming down from those luxury bridal experiences just because you have a more cost conscious consumer. But
Yeah. So I think of two things in response to that. So number one, the thing about the men, like I think, you can solve that architecture, you can solve that through scheduling. And oftentimes too, like the men shop at a different time than the women do for the
mhm.
dresses. So I don't think the fear of seeing the bride in her wedding gown is really that much of an issue. But the second thing, like, yeah, I agree. Everybody wants better service, but the trick with providing better service is you need to pay for it.
Mhm.
And so that's what's unclear to me in terms of how are they getting the margins from this concept to pay for it? You can't just wave your wand and give better service.
Yeah.
And so that to me is the element that was missing here. It sounds like they're trying to put some higher end products in, but yet they're going to have a smaller array of products. So maybe, but it's hard to become something that you're not. And companies have failed on this attempt many, many times over the year because they forget that margins, the level of margin that you have is
Mhm.
correlated to the amount of service you can provide.
Mhm.
And that's what makes this such a difficult get when you try to move up market in service. And I just
Yeah.
don't see that from this concept.
Yeah, I think that's the big issue though that these retailers are going to have to contend with right now. I mean, I think that's where things like AI come into play. Like, where are you able to save money leveraging AI in your businesses so that you can find some of that additional revenue to put towards service. I think it's going to be too much of a determining factor in the success of a business overall, if they're not willing to invest here, because this is too high touch of an experience. Shopping for a wedding gown is too high touch of an experience to let that service element decline. So
Okay, let me just press you on that though,
yeah.
because like if that's the case,
Hmm.
should your new store concept be dependent upon that? I think
Be
that's a
dependent
tough ask
upon
for
service.
be dependent on you leveraging new techniques in AI to make it work financially. I think that's a tough ask,
No, I
particularly
think
from a company that's calling out Shopify as a key technological ingredient to this store concept.
I'm saying more from other areas of the store. I'm not saying AI in the store. I should have clarified. I'm saying like overall, where are you as a business applying AI to refine and find more efficiencies in your business operations so that you can free up resources to pay for more and to allocate that to better service in the stores, because that to me, you're a lot of companies are reducing headcount right now at the headquarters. Like, that's what I'm saying is, if you're going to reduce headcount there, can you start to put this back into service in the stores so that the companies stay alive and they become a destination for shoppers right now?
Right, which brings me back to the point of, yeah, if you're going to do that for your fleet of stores that already exist, because you can get more payback there than trying to make a distracting new concept work when you don't have that figured out for your chain of stores already. Like, I don't, I'm actually getting more skeptical of this as we talk about it, but
Well, yes, more discussion to be had on this topic for sure. But for now, let's go to the lightning round. Chris, Oreo maker Mondelez is suing Aldi, alleging that grocery chain copies its packaging to confuse customers. What own brand product do you think is better than or as good as the original?
oh man, I don't, for some reason, I don't buy that many own brand products. I think because our grocery stores don't have a big own brand assortment, because
Hmm.
Minnesota grocery is kind of unique in that way. But Um, for me, I guess I'd go with like the standard like OTC drugs, then, Mucinex, Benadryl,
Sure.
Omeprazole, like Prilosec. Like I'm buying all the generics of those. Those things are always at least as good, or at least my body tells me that they are.
Great. I'm glad,
Yeah, right?
glad that they work for you. Yes.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
No
Glad
Trader
that
Joe's? You don't do any of like the Trader Joe's dupes or anything? I guess
well,
it's more of a beauty thing too.
Trader
Like,
Joe's doesn't Trader Joe's is just like a yeah, it's just kind of like it's label. I don't think of it like the same way for some reason. I don't know, but
okay.
I mean, I guess yeah, you could do like peanut butter and stuff, but no, yeah, no. I think I like the way the private label Mucinex, clears my lungs, and a Kentucky mom found herself in a sticky situation when her 8-year-old son ordered 70,000 Dum Dum lollipops, Dum Dums, on her phone. What have you accidentally purchased that is almost as ridiculous as 70,000 Dum Dums?
The first thing that I thought of was one summer when I was home from school, my mom was working and we were bored, and there was a
How old? How old were you?
probably 8 or 9.
8.
I
Okay.
mean, it was like in elementary school, and my brother and I were bored, so there was an ad during the daytime soap operas for the Book of Mormon, and
Oh,
they said they
great.
would send you a free book, and I was like, yes, I'll take a free book. Like, let's check it
That's
out. We're
great.
bored. And sure enough, they sent us the Book of Mormon, and we had visitors from the LDS church at our house for maybe the next 5 years, calling, stopping by the house, trying to talk to my mom and get her on board. And she was not thrilled. She would not let me live that one down. So it didn't cost her as much as 70,000 dum-dums,
Yeah,
but
no.
just her time and
Jeez.
patience.
Yeah, that must have been one hell of a bill. The 70,000 dum-dums. My God.
All right, Chris. Question number 3. The creator of Succession reportedly skewers tech billionaires in his latest film, Mountainhead. Will Mountainhead be must-see TV for you?
Oh my God, yes, 100%. I'm actually dying to watch this. I might even fire it up tomorrow if I can get it here in Spain. But yeah, I can think of no one better who needs skewering or deserves it more than tech billionaires. And That's my take on that
What
one.
is it
All right.
on? What's like,
I don't
where
know.
can you find it?
I don't know. I gotta look that up. Fans, let
Okay.
us know if you know where it is or have watched it, and let us know your review too. So, all right, last one. Sydney Sweeney. This one's great. Sydney Sweeney is selling soap that contains her own bathwater. Whose bathwater would you most want infused into your soap? Sign me up for this. All right, and whose
Ew.
bathwater would you most want
No
infused
one's.
into your
No
soap?
one's.
No one's. Come
You
on.
honestly want somebody's bathwater? Like, I have my own bathwater. Why do I need Sydney Sweeney's bathwater? This is like OnlyFans gone to another level that I am not comfortable with.
OnlyFans got to another level.
Like that is like I mean, I think that's the origination of this concept. Like, it wasn't until a platform like OnlyFans where you start selling bathwater to like, no, I cannot say no enough.
Well, you
Who
must
would
use
buy
bath water. You must use water in the production of soap. So, like, what's the big deal if it's somebody's bath water? Like,
dirty?
it's got to be. Well, it's got to be cleaned. You know.
Are you sure? I don't
Well,
know about that.
I mean,
think
it's got to be like I don't know. It's got to pass FDA. I don't know, but well, I guess I don't know. It's not. I don't know. Yeah, maybe not. Who knows? Who
Are
knows?
you gonna buy Sydney Sweeney's soap?
No, I'm not gonna buy it. Are you kidding me? God, no. I'm not gonna.
Good.
I'm such a discerning shopper. I'm not gonna fall for this marketing gimmick. Although, yeah, but
I mean, love Sydney Sweeney, but I don't want her. She's still the human, and I don't want her dirty bathwater.
everything she does turns to gold in my mind, but I'm not buying her soap. No way.
Oh, God.
All right. Happy birthday today to Keith David, Angelina Jolie, and to my favorite Hardy boy, Parker Stevenson. And remember, if you can only read or listen to one retail blog in the business, make it OmniTalk, the only retail media outlet run by two former executives from a current top 10 U.S. retailer. Our Fast Five podcast is the quickest, fastest rundown of all the week's top news, and our daily newsletter, the Retail Daily Minute, tells you all you need to know each day to stay on top of your game as a retail executive, and also regularly features special content that is exclusive to us and that Ann and I take a lot of pride in doing just for you. Thanks as always for listening in. Please remember to like and leave us a review wherever you happen to listen to your podcast or on YouTube. You can follow us today by simply going to youtube.com/OmniTalkRetail. Last time I checked, Ann, our subscriber count is up over 160,000 subscribers.
Awesome.
So until next week, and on behalf of all of us at OmniTalk Retail, as always, be careful out there.